In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how to do proper keyword research for your Google Ads campaigns going into 2024. This is a topic so many brands and businesses overcomplicate, and there are so many expensive tools out there that, to be quite honest with you, you probably don't need to pay for. What you can actually do is do it for free using Google's own keyword planner and actually get just as accurate results, if not even more accurate. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how we conduct keyword research here at ClickSpring for our clients. And bearing in mind, we're spending over $500,000 a month on Google Ads at the moment, so we know a fair few things about keyword research. I think it's safe to say. So yeah, without further ado, my name is George, founder and CEO here at ClickSpring, and let's jump into it. So first things first, you want to go to the top right of your screen. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is the status of your ad account is actually going to affect how accurate your keyword research is. If you've done nothing, if you've got a completely brand new ad account with zero spend, Google's not actually going to be able to give you super accurate keyword research because it doesn't have any data about your account, and it's not really in Google's interest to give as much data out for free, basically. So just something we see is that when you have an account that actually has spent money on Google Ads, the keyword research looks different, the UI user interface looks different, and it is more accurate. So ways to get around that. Well, firstly, if you are running your own e-commerce brand, you can just obviously go into your own account. You will have spent money and things will be fine. But secondly, if you haven't run Google Ads before and you're looking to start, what you can do is spend a very minimal amount of money on a smart campaign, for example, something like $1 or $2 a day, and that will, after a few days, be able to, give you completely accurate keyword research, and for a fraction of the cost of some of the other tools where you're spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month. Believe me, we spend that amount on those tools, although we typically use them for different things. I'm talking about tools like SEMrush here, Ahrefs, things like that. Fantastic tools, don't get me wrong, but we use them for competitor keyword research, not necessarily for keyword research when it comes to creating new campaigns and choosing which words to bid on. So without further ado, as I say, we're going to go to the top right here. We're going to want to go to the planning area here on the left. You can see there's a few different planning tools that Google's bringing out. It seems to be bringing out more and more. It wants us to be able, as advertisers, to actually get a really accurate forecast on what we're going to be able to spend, what results we might be getting, things like that. But we're going to go to Keyword Planner here, okay? And we're going to be greeted by two options, either discover new keywords or get search volume and forecasts. Now, again, this is going to be based on data. So this is really a different tool, search volume and forecasts. It's, again, as the name suggests, more of a forecasting tool for the future. What we want to do right now is find keywords. That's what keyword research means. It means to kind of find keywords that you want to use, find data out about them, and ultimately use them or decide not to use them in campaigns. Okay, so let's jump in to discover new keywords. Okay. Now, a few things you can see here. This is the keyword research, keyword planner user interface. There's two options that you can go for off the bat. You can start with your own keywords, or you can start with your website. Now, what starting with your website is going to do is Google's actually going to go crawl your website and pull keywords from your website copy. So the words essentially on your website. So if you sell watches, for example, it's going to pick that watch out as a keyword. It might pick out automatic watch, quartz watch, certain brands of watches that you might stock, etc., etc. However, we typically do like to start with keywords because it tends to be slightly more accurate. However, I do really highly recommend that you run a start with a website keyword search because it's actually going to give you some important information as to how accurate Google can read your site. Sometimes you're going to enter your website here and Google isn't going to be able to produce any relevant keywords because it's just not able to crawl your site for whatever reason. And if that's the case, you want to stay away from campaigns that have a dynamic search ads element to them. So for example, DSAs or potentially Performance Max. Performance Max will spend a bit more on shopping if this is the case, but just be aware that Google might be struggling to crawl your site. Okay, so let's start with some keywords. Now, as I said, let's just use the example of watches. I tend to just put a few in here whenever I'm starting with keyword research. And to be honest, I really do just approach this with a kind of brainstorm-esque mentality. I just think about a bunch of keywords that could be relevant and throw them in. Another great thing that you can do is, again, use AI, ChatGPT, something we're very, very fond of using at the agency for kind of research tasks like this. You can just essentially type in your product, type in your service, and ask it to generate 10 to 15 keywords, and then grab some of those and throw them in here and see what you get. Okay. So we'll do watches, automatic watches, we'll do quartz watches, men's watch, okay? And what you're gonna do before you slam hit get results is make sure you're actually looking at the right country, because if you're targeting in the United States, your ads, you want to make sure that you get keyword research directly from the US so it's more accurate. But for this example, let's use the UK, which is where I'm based. What you can do here as well is actually, again, entering your website, and Google will scan it and make sure that there are no unrelated keywords in there. But for this example, let's just go ahead and click get results. Okay, so it's going to take a few seconds to load, and then finally we're going to get our keyword research results. Okay, so once again, let me walk you through what we're looking at here. So first things first, you can see a chart here, okay, and you can actually decide what the chart displays. You can look at search volume, you can look at breakdown by platform or breakdown by location, and this is all basically just search volume for these keywords here that you've provided, okay, overall. So showing you a total search volume for all of these keywords. Moving down here, you can see certain columns. So firstly, Google's going to give you the exact keywords that you provided as an exact match. And then it's going to give you ideas that are based off of those keywords that you've just inputted, which are obviously slightly more broad, but you can still obviously use in your campaign. Now, Google's given us 10,000 keywords here, so quite a lot. So it's important to obviously filter down by relevance, okay? But we'll get to that in a second. So firstly, you can see the keyword on the left here, then you can see average monthly searches. And if you hover over, you'll actually get a nice little pop-up graph which shows you the trend. Now, the trends are really important to keep in mind. It's not a be-all, end-all, and if it's trending down a keyword, it's still worth using. But search volume really is what kind of determines the success of search campaigns in many cases. If you're advertising keywords that just have no search volume and search intent behind them, people will actually search these keywords in order to buy product, then you're going to have a tough time. Okay, so bear in mind the trends. Look at competition. Now, competition pretty much always says high, just how it is these days. I think maybe 5-10 years ago, this was a pretty interesting column to look at, but these days, any kind of purchase intent keyword tends to just say high in competition, so I wouldn't really worry about this column very much. Now, ad impression share, this is when you're actually actively targeting some of these keywords. For example, in a search campaign, you'll be able to see what impression share your ad has of that keyword. So for example, if I have a cold search campaign targeting watches, let's just say I have a 60% ad impression share. So all searches for watches are 60% of the time my ad will show. So that's a pretty good result there, okay? And then you have CPC bid ranges. So you've got top of page bid range low range. So that's basically the best case scenario. And then you've got top of page bid high range. Really important columns here. It's going to give you a good idea of how much you're paying. And it's really important to have a look at that, okay? And when you click into columns, there's a few more things here, but this is really more for organic keyword research. We're really doing paid ads, organic research here, okay? So that's the columns. Now, the first thing that I like to do when it comes to keywords research is honestly just filter by, or sort by average monthly searches. I have a rule when it comes to keyword research at my agency, which is to really avoid keywords that have less than anywhere around 1,000 monthly searches. Now, sometimes you're going to be dealing with products that aren't quite so popular, and that can be pretty tough, and you've got to just roll with what you've got. But in the case of obviously something like watches, we'd only want to include really the terms that have over 1,000 monthly searches, right? And obviously that's quite a lot in this case because it's a very popular search term. So that's the first thing that I would always recommend you do. Make sure you're kind of grabbing keywords that are at least over 1,000 monthly searches. And the second thing that I would recommend is to go ahead and filter down a few more things here. Okay, so we want to really be able to condense our search down to around maybe 50 or so keywords. It can be more, can be less, so that we can export them and use them. It's no use to us having 10,000 keywords. We're never going to use that amount. Depending on what kind of search campaign structure you've got, it's going to depend on how many keywords you think you're going to need. But for us, let's just try and filter things down. So you can come to the right here and refine your keywords. So let's say maybe we're just looking for women-related watch keywords to try and get things as intent as possible. Remember as well that longer tail keywords, or keywords that have multiple words in, tend to be slightly more high intent. So for example, there's a difference between female watch and buy female watch now, something like that, which is going to be way more purchase intent and often more expensive as well. And then here we go, we've got a bunch more stuff here when it comes to watches. So we can say we're looking for like a female diver's watch, for example. This is specifically what we're targeting in a certain campaign. You can obviously filter by brand here, which we won't do. And you can see already we've massively minimized the amount of keywords that we're looking at. And you can continue to do that as well. But from what we can see here, we've got that's actually still quite a lot. Let's see what else we could do here. We can, let's filter down by material now as well. And as you can see, all I'm trying to do is kind of get to a point where we don't have too many keywords here. And obviously, you might want to filter out certain brands actually. So let's come up here and, filter out some of these brands. But yeah, you can see the process that you go through to kind of get an accurate collection of keywords. And then what you really want to do is pretty simple. You want to basically go through and select the keywords that you want to use, that you think are going to perform well, that have above a 1 or 10,000 a month search volume at least, that have reasonable CPCs. You can see they definitely do vary in terms of cost. You want to select them, and you want to go ahead and, at least what I like to do is go ahead and export. So you can actually just come up here and do it. Click download keyword ideas. I like to download them to a Google Sheet, and it's going to download all of those ideas, and you can basically just go ahead and use them directly, copy paste them directly into some campaigns from there. So that's exactly how we do keyword research. We keep things very, very simple. There's a bunch more utility that you can actually get in the keyword research planner. There's a bunch of stuff that you can do to do certain research, but we do keep it very, very simple. That's pretty much the whole process. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned a few things about how to do some more effective keyword research for yourself into 2024. Keywords are really, really important still for Google Ads campaigns, so it's important that you do that. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and comment down below. If you are interested in how we help e-commerce brands scale with Google and YouTube ads, there's a link in the description there. And without further ado, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.